I think something very important internally. I realized that when you start a project, if you are partners that have been working by mail, if you even did, preparing the proposal, or maybe you were just told at the last minute, would you like to be part of the consortium? And they put your name and you don't know anything about the project. Okay? So you get into that, the project is funded, and here you are, and you don't know exactly what you're going to be doing. You look at the description of work, it still doesn't clarify because it's ambiguous, etc. At this point, discussing about the dissemination helps. Dissemination, call it dissemination, call message, call it communication. I use indistinctively dissemination and communication. Is a way, is an exercise to get all partners focused in one topic and say, okay guys, what is the project about? What are we going to be doing? What is our interest in the project? All those questions help. If you put, a brainstorming type of session the first day with our officers, of course, because, if they see that, well, they know that already, but in fact, that should be clear much before, but in most cases this is not the case. That helps a lot to focus, to center, and to share a view. And I think it's basic for a good dissemination and a good help among partners to share a view, okay? Have a common view of the project. What we do now, what is? One, the one that takes care of dissemination prepares a summary and says, everybody has to use this summary when you present the project because the others don't know exactly what to say. I propose to get together, at the kickoff and discuss what are the main outcomes we expect, what are the objectives, okay? What is our view of the project in terms of telling the others, okay? What is the target audience? What are the concepts we are dealing with, okay? And then who should be involved somehow from the outside world? The stakeholders, okay? Then, as you know, the first dissemination plan has to be delivered in our projects after 2 months of the project, so you need to start really early. And think that you may waste a little bit of time at the beginning, but it's worth it. Really, it's worth it. It helps to set up and clarify the concepts. Though, when you're going to preparing that dissemination and communication plan, you need to reply to a number of questions, and these are the most important. The first one is the purpose of the dissemination. What is the purpose, the meaning, the reason for the dissemination, okay? The purpose may be very different depending on the time and what you got already in the work of your project. For example, one objective can be to raise awareness. You didn't start yet, we don't have anything yet to show, but we want people to learn about our main objectives, what we plan to do, okay? Maybe inform people, educate the community of the end users that will benefit from it, maybe to engage people and get people on board, get support for end user communities, for example, helping you to evaluate some of the results, and maybe, for example, to promote the results. All those things may happen at different stages of the project, and deciding the purpose of our dissemination activity, okay, is absolutely a necessary step, okay? We cannot start promoting the project that we don't have, and organizing a big event, a conference, if we don't have anything yet to show. You know, I mean, it's clear, it's obvious, but I put it in a very didactic way. Then, the other important issue when you prepare the dissemination is you cannot disseminate the same things the same way to different audiences, okay? And then the audiences, we communicate the results, scientific users, public organizations, public administrations, venture capital, whatever, we call them target groups, okay? You target your dissemination to the different target groups. And then each one of them has different characteristics, and you need to take that into account. You cannot have your slide with your project. Okay, this is what I pass in all the conferences. Taking into account that in some conferences you will have users, you will have doctors, you will have elderly people, whatever, and in other you will have the commission. you will have the payers, you will have public administration. So who you send the information, who you send the message, has to be tailored with the people that is going to listen to you. Again, this is obvious, but in many cases, consortiums are so happy in their work that they don't even think of this. And they keep preparing slides that are absolutely, nonsense. And they are worse because people said, this is one of these projects that is in a sort of ivory tower doing their own things. They are useless, okay? So please give importance to that part. So the concept of stakeholder is extremely important, and the Commission uses all the time. It's one of these words that happens again. But it's really important because the stakeholders are that part of the audience that may benefit directly from the project, that is, may buy it, real money, or may help us to benefit. So a good stakeholder is public administration that may end up buying our platform, or simply defining a policy that will help and support platforms like ours, maybe an indirect benefit to us, okay? So those are the stakeholders in a very generic definition, but they just don't come like, oh, here are the stakeholders. You need to see, as you prepare your messages, your dissemination plan, that meeting. Hi, please. Well, then that work of defining, identifying the stakeholders and the messages, you have to do it right from the beginning too, okay? Again, a brainstorming type of session. And then that analysis and the mapping of the stakeholders with the different outcomes of our project is also very important. And there are plenty of tools, books, big sessions about how do we identify the stakeholders, how do we map the stakeholders with the project, and that happens in any project, not just EU projects. It's an extremely important thing, because again, the message, the mean to get to them is really related with the characteristic of these stakeholders, this community, okay? And then, once again, the definition is clear, there is no problem, and that this exercise is extremely important. Because if you miss the stakeholder, your project may not have, the success that it could have. And that may be, again, to get more money from you. I mean, it's not necessarily that we go into the market. Not all the projects go into the market. No, we identify the typical, the significant stakeholders. End users could be a group with the stakeholders. Decision makers and replicant actors are also a very important stakeholders group, okay, that in each case, in each project, maybe the ministry of something, or maybe the regional authority, or maybe the organization that standardizes whatever. The market actors, in very generic terms. And finally, the funding authority, which is extremely important. This is a stakeholder, and in some cases, the most important stakeholder, because he's going to benefit thanks to our results. He can say, the Commission can say, well, look at what we do with the money, we got great project, but we also need them to get more money, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so it's an important stakeholder we need to take care of, and our messages have to be well addressed to that stakeholder too. Okay. And then, what do we disseminate? And again, we repeat the idea. The messages we identify, that we need to identify, we cannot come and invent every other day one. They may vary, okay, during the life of the project, and to who, when we disseminate, where we disseminate it, okay? And then, in any case, the most important things, the most important what to disseminate is the objectives and the scope, mainly at the beginning, the intermediate and final project results, this is what, and the lessons learned, that will be the main three types of what things we disseminate, okay? And then in all the cases, whatever we disseminate, objectives, final results or whatever, we need to keep in mind that we need to have clear messages, understandable what we disseminate, okay? And a language that is appropriate, once again, to the target audience. Of course, we have to make it clear, but if you are in a very high technical level type of event, for example, we need to cope with the requirements of that audience. And a very important thing, information should be realistic. You know, the more realistic, math. You know, you lose all your credibility when you go into.
I love you. Do they agree?
It's amazing. You know, this is absolutely silly what I'm thinking, but it's amazing how people keep forgetting about it. They think that we, the ones that are there, sharing with them and preparing dissemination plans and writing reports, etc., we are silly. We are stupid or what? You know, they come and make a huge presentation. They lose all the credibility. Whatever they say after that, you couldn't care less. I love when I see someone that says, well, we did this, but you know, we have so many problems to get there. Some of the things are still not solved. And they share with us their concerns. I learn much more, and I admire much more that person than instead of trying to sell something that is by all means unrealistic, because you smell it to me, it's clear. Is sharing. And then you tend to go there and ask for help because that person you trust. Finally, we are talking about trust and credibility, and I think we need to keep that in mind. Okay? I think personally and as a professional. Okay. And then about the methods, we need to select, depending on what we disseminate, the way how we disseminate it. Okay? So when we want to create awareness in the first part of our project, probably we will use the press release, you know, the meeting with the press, to tell that just the project start, we prepare a newsletter, we write articles. When we go into transmitting more content, after the beginning of the project, a few months later, then we can, you know, produce reports, produce articles, but we cannot plan to have an article after 3 months, because there are little content there. And then for promoting outcomes and getting, you know, other stakeholders involved, we can organize conference presentations as example. But at the how, it will depend once again on what we have. We need to link it, okay? What we have so far in the project. Then, for example, this is a table that summarizes some of the common examples of dissemination channels, okay, the how. Okay? And then many of them can be used right from the beginning. Others are really related with the maturity of the project as the project is producing outcomes. We need to link those things. Everything is obvious, but at the same time, I don't know how, but during the life of the project or during the preparation of the dissemination, there is one person doing the dissemination plan and the rest of the consortium doing their own life. And the whole thing is totally incoherent. And the dissemination that could be so useful, it gets finally a sort of boredom, you know, a backpack, you know, now we need to do another dissemination activity. Come on, let's try to get benefit out of it. Okay, so when, and I'm finishing, when designing the dissemination activities, okay, we need to define, when we make the plan for the 2 years, 3 years of the project, we need to decide when is more relevant the dissemination activity will occur. So when we prepare our plan, it will be nice to have a sort of table with the planning. We need to adapt that plan to the progress of the project. Again, it's obvious. But then there is someone always saying, oh, okay, then now in month 9, you say, okay, let's think about it. Do we have a deliverable right after or before? So if we're going to have a deliverable, let's link it to that deliverable so somehow we have something to show. Okay, if that deliverable can be shown, of course, it's not an internal, etc. You know what I mean? This keeping coherence between our work plan and the dissemination is very simple, but we don't normally. And then another thing important is to take into account other activities happening outside our project that may help us to deliver. You know, thinking, okay, within this year there will be a conference of the cardiologists, blah, 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 somewhere, and my project relates with the topic. Let's organize an event, link it to that conference that is going to happen in Stockholm on month 9th of our project. Okay, then let's put, because then we can benefit from that big event to promote our project. or the typical thing. The Commission is organizing the ICT event for blah, 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 blah. You know that you have to be there. So your plan has to include that event. Even if you don't like it, remember they are an important stakeholder. Don't forget that. And the same when you have a midterm review that you know that you need to go to process and then you can benefit. You know what I mean? So try to link the one with your internal planning of the project and take into account the external pressure. Okay? And then the where, once again, we need to think European, but also it's extremely important to be able to disseminate our project based on our interest, of course, and now each partner's interest at national, regional, local authorities, any authority or any stakeholder that may help us, okay, to get our project on, powerful, okay? And this is something that we need to tailor at different levels. At local level, each partner will work on his own, knowing exactly who are the main stakeholders or the main key players, and at national and European level, we need to agree of what we said, okay? Something that is extremely important, and you need to make some of your partners that sometimes don't see it, European projects have a great help to solve problems that you have at local level, sometimes on national. If you come with a proposal at local level to homogenize, to standardize something, so you have all the authorities, all the, people working on your field, no, you have your idea, we have ours. But you come with an European project, I'm working on an European project on this topic, and we are standardizing something. Oh, it's an European project, yeah, you see, it's done. Well, then let's, maybe that can be interesting. I'm talking about my personal experience. They don't listen to you if you are one of the locals. The moment you come with the European project and you organize something there and make a little bit of noise, and then maybe an officer from the European Commission comes, for some part of your partners local, that gives you more value. So use it. In many cases, people doesn't realize, besides the money you get, how interesting and useful can be to have that European. You get more protected. No, you cannot say no because, it's an European project. We signed, we agreed that we were going to use this standard procedure and not the other. Okay, that helps.